To judge means to decide, and so when we embrace the judging part of our personality, we're allowing ourselves to become comfortable with making decisions, to cutting off options, to staying the course and committing to a single direction, regardless of the obstacles or distractions that arise. Welcome to Unlocking the Power of Your Personality Type. I'm your host, Samantha Mackay, lead trainer at Truity, certified coach and trainer, and long-time believer in the power of using personality type for personal growth. And it's really important to remember that your Myers-Briggs type is not a box that you are locked inside of. You are not limited to just expressing those 4 preferences. Instead, I want you to think of it like a platform for understanding your natural strengths, your natural weaknesses, and as a guide as to where you can grow. And in this series, we're looking at your Myers-Briggs type as a series of processes, not as preferences. And this allows us to look at the 8 elements of personality as a series of individual tools that you can use to help you navigate the challenges that come up and get in the way of you achieving your goals and dreams. And today we're talking about judging. And this isn't just for perceivers, judges can benefit from this too, where we explore what it means to bring structure into your life, what it means to commit to something, and where you can examine the quality of your decision making. And so we're going to talk about the benefits of judging, why we avoid it, and then I have 4 strategies to help you practice and develop this part of your personality. Let's start with the benefits of judging. Well, judging helps us make decisions. It means we become comfortable with cutting off our options and choosing a single path forward. And by doing so, by continually making those decisions, it culminates in providing us structure or order within our lives. Think of it like building a house. Each wall you erect, you've made a decision about where it's going to be and what it's going to look like. And so the more walls you build, the more structure you naturally have, because you can't easily take those walls down. One of the benefits of judging, and by that I mean getting comfortable with continually making decisions and cutting off those possibilities, is that you learn to be more settled within your mind, more comfortable with the choices you're making, and less open to revisiting them when new information arises. And that makes it easier to commit to a single direction or a clear goal or something you want to achieve. It makes it easier to prioritize things that are important to us. It makes it easier to say no to the things that we don't want to do or the things that don't align with the direction we want to go in. Which means one of the benefits of judging is that it helps us stay the course. It helps us create a goal, say no to the things that distract us from it, is clear on the obstacles and expects obstacles to arise, and it also knows that not every step on this journey will be fun, and it's prepared for the boring, repetitive tasks and getting through those. So because judging is all focused on making decisions, the question I have for you is, how would committing to something help you right now? And what commitment do you need to make? Is that to a person, to a project, or a goal? Is it something small? Is it something large? What kind of commitment excites you, and how would it help you if you could truly commit to that? So why do we avoid judging? Why do we avoid making decisions and committing to things? I have 4 reasons for this. Now, firstly, one is that you just might not like making decisions. You might be very uncomfortable having to cut off options and remove possibilities, because sometimes we fall in love with a possibility. We fall in love with the potential, but it's still not something we can fully commit to or get behind. We just like the idea. And that stops us from being able to say, actually, that's not what I want. This is what I want to commit to. Number 2, we may not have enough information to make the decision. And so we put off making the decision because we just feel like we just could use a little bit more information for this decision to be well balanced. But one of the things to practice is learning to make decisions without the extra information, without waiting. Thirdly, we may not like any of the options that we have. We may be looking at having to make a decision of the best of a bad bunch, and we can put off making a decision because we just simply don't like those options. And finally, putting a lot of structure in place, making a lot of decisions can feel very controlling. It can feel like we're constraining ourselves, or it can feel like we're imposing something on others and controlling other people's lives. And we can be uncomfortable with both of those options and not like how that feels. To help you better understand why you might be avoiding judging, ask yourself these questions. 1, what structure feels too controlling right now? What decision feels too limiting? And what would you want to commit to, but it feels really uncomfortable? And just listen how your mind and body responds when you ask yourself those questions. Now let's talk about the strategies I have for you to help you practice judging. And making decisions isn't new for you. You're used to living inside of structures. You're used to making decisions. You do this every day. But that doesn't mean there isn't an opportunity to practice, enhance, hone our skills around this, and sometimes even our comfort around structure in general. The 4 strategies I have for you are decide, schedule, order, and finish early. Let's start with decide. So this is all just about practicing making decisions. Now, a couple of ways you can start doing this is practice making quick, on-the-spot decisions using only the information you have available, and pushing yourself to do this a couple of times a day or even a couple of times a week to get really comfortable with making decisions without all the information or without options that you really like. And as you get new information, resist the urge to reopen or review that decision. And to help you be comfortable with the decision you made, write down 3 reasons it was the right decision and 3 benefits you've already seen from making that decision. And finally, let's take a look at the decisions you haven't been making. So make a quick list of some big decisions that you've been putting off and start to really explore why you're avoiding making that decision. Is it because you don't like the options? Is it because you don't feel like you have enough information? Does it conflict with your values? Are you afraid it might hurt someone else? Really dive in and to look at the reason why you've been avoiding that decision. Not to try and make yourself make that decision, but just look at the psychology behind it. What is it? And what is the reason for that avoidance? And once you've got a good hold on the reason for that avoidance, think of ways to eliminate that so you can move forward and make the decision that you want to make. And our second strategy for practicing judging is scheduling. To schedule as many parts of our lives as possible. And for those of us who are perceivers, we might find that quite limiting, but actually there's a lot of benefits to be gained by filling up the blank spaces in our diary. When I started doing this last year, I found it really reduced the amount of time I wasted on trying to decide what work tasks to start on the day or how did I want to fill my evenings. And when I put in chunks of pre-scheduled time of this project in the morning and this project in the afternoon and these are my evening activities and scheduled space for relaxation so I didn't suddenly find myself overdoing it, I had a lot less stress in my day and my week. I found it quite stressful to be looking at a week with a completely blank space. And so this is something I've just really enjoyed doing. So open up your diary and pick a week and look at what you've currently got in for that week and add anything you know that's going to happen and what time. And looking at your diary, think, what are the things, the activities, the people, the projects you want to make happen this week, that you want to prioritize, you absolutely want to make time for. And you may need to create a list and do some prioritizing, but then actively schedule them in and put them in your diary. I do find it a bit overwhelming to have precise tasks scheduled on each half hour or hour. That is too much for me. So I like the project approach, where I schedule a project for 4 hours. And inside of that, I have a sense of what needs to happen. So as long as I know the big picture, the project I'm going to be working on, the little tasks just naturally fall into place. And so now we've looked at your immediate future, your current week. Now we want to expand our scheduling out to the next weeks, months, or possibly even a year. And so look at the activities that you already do, that you do on a regular basis, ones that take a bit of energy to make happen and organize. That might be exercise, that might be meal prep, that might be family time, that might be calling friends and family overseas, that might be particular work activities or quiet time you want to have. And so look at the activities that you already do, but you'd like to make sure they actually happen on a regular basis. And look at how you can schedule those into your calendar and put them on repeat so they are just already booked in. So there is no surprise, there is no double booking, they're just there and they just happen. Next, I want you to plan and schedule a holiday. Now you don't need to book it immediately because sometimes it's tricky to know when we can travel or go exploring. But think of a place you really want to go to. Like if you had a top 5 bucket list of places that you wanted to go and explore, what would it be? And pick one. and then research all the things you'd like to do in that place. Create a list of activities that you just know that would make your day if you could do those in that place. Then plan out for the time you're going to be there. Maybe it's a few days or a week or even a month, although that's a little ambitious at times, isn't it? A month's holiday. And schedule how will you get all those things done in that time. What will you do on day 1, on day 2, on day 3 to make sure that everything happens in the way you want it to. And then as soon as you can, book everything. Book the travel, book the accommodation, book all the activities, so it's just all in the diary. So when you get to that holiday, you don't even have to think about what you're going to do. It all just flows out. I recently went on an extended weekend away to a writers' festival, and I had pre-booked all the accommodation, I'd pre-booked all the talks I wanted to go to. And so I had this schedule in place, but it still gave me this freedom to explore while I was there, and I still booked a street art tour and discovered some new restaurants. And so I didn't find that it closed off my opportunities. It just created this really lovely structure and schedule for the weekend in which I got to enjoy both those things and other things around it. Next is order. We want to create order from chaos in the world around us. And we're going to start with our immediate environment. So looking around your home, whether that's your kitchen, your bathroom, the garage, the bedroom, the wardrobe, look at the spaces that you exist in and think, how is this distracting me from what I want to be achieving, from the purpose of both this space and also of your life and the activities and the things you want to be spending your time on? Because the environment that you're in can easily help or hinder you achieving your goals and aspirations. And so ideally you want the environment to support whatever your priorities are. And so go into a space, let's pick the kitchen. What do you need from your kitchen? What do you need it to do for you? And how could you design the kitchen? Now let's assume you can't change the cupboards, but design the way things are stored or organized in order to meet your needs. And don't just think of your needs as cooking food or food preparation, but think, what is the broader sense of what this kitchen is doing for you? And think beyond storage of cups and plates. Also think about, how could this space bring you comfort and joy? What level of efficiency do you need from this space? How do you want it to look visually? When you go into that kitchen, what do you want to feel? How do you want to be? How do you want it to serve you? And then design a system or a way of organizing everything in your kitchen, a way that will meet all of those needs, and a system that won't need to be tinkered with or touched again. And once you have that system, then reorganize the kitchen. I recently did a bit of a home makeover, and the kitchen was the first place I attacked. And one of the things I did was just remove half of the things out of the kitchen into another area. So martini glasses, which do not get used on a regular basis, didn't need to be in the kitchen. They could be stored elsewhere. And the same was said for a whole lot of platters and other glassware and mugs that we just seem to have an excess of. And now that there is less things in the kitchen, I find it much easier and more enjoyable to use. And then do the same for the other rooms in your house. And as you answer those questions about needs, efficiency, comfort, and visual appearance, you will have different answers and different needs in each of those spaces. And the question you're seeking to answer here is, what is the best way to order this space so it helps me achieve my goals? So then take these principles and apply them to your working life. And that is both the physical space. So how do you organize your desk? How do you organize your office, whether that's at home or at work? And then also think, how do you organize your digital spaces on your computer or on your phone? Are the way you have your apps and your files, are they helping you or are they distracting you? And then aim to design a system based around your needs, how you use those spaces, comfort, visual appearance, and efficiency, and then order everything around that system. And our final strategy for practicing judging is to finish early. So we know that perceivers love a good deadline, that pressure prompts them to get things done, but judges like to have a lot of gap between the deadline and actually finishing the project or task that they're working on. And there's some real advantages to that gap. It gives you time to reflect on what you've created, to review what you've created, and allow time for tweaking or for new information or things to change in that space. And if things have changed over the course of the task or the project, you still have space and time to finish it on time and navigate any obstacles that arise along that way. So pick a task or a project that you're working on and think, what's the deadline? When does it need to be done by? And then pick a certain amount of time that's before that, maybe a few hours, a day, several days, a week, or a month, that you want to get that finished early. And in order to do that, in order to finish something early, you need to know everything that needs to be done. So you're going to have to create a plan, a task list. What are the things you need to do to achieve this project? How long will each take? What are all the dependencies on other people and resources? And then map it out. Well, based on everything that needs to be done, when will you need to start in order to finish early? And you don't necessarily want to start with a massive project. Maybe just pick something that you would normally leave to the end of the day and do it at the start of the day. Just switch things around to see what it's like to finish something a really long time or a decent amount of time before the deadline. So those are my 4 strategies to help you practice judging. Decide, schedule, order, and finish early. And so the question I have for you here is, what aspect of your life needs some structure right now? And how could you give it that structure? So let me know what you tried in the comments below. How did it go? What did you learn? And what would you suggest to others? And that's it for this episode. Next, we're talking about perceiving. And in the meantime, have fun playing with your personality.